Tonight at 5, we have the latest on the Fairview Street shooting that left a 52-year-old male dead in Athens, Georgia. Then, we take a look into how Madison County is promoting Mental Health Awareness Week. And later, a local church known as the Pumpkin Church recently opened their patch for the season. All of this and more right here on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Narvell, and welcome to Grady Newsource. We begin in Oconee County, where there's a new chairman of the Board of Elections with just a month until the November vote. Grady Newsource reporter Donna Traylor interviewed the new chairman and joins me now with this developing story. So Donna, who's the new chairman and what did he tell you?
Yeah, so Jay Hanley actually is the new chairman of elections in Oconee, and he was appointed by the Board of Commissioners just last night at their meeting. They also appointed a new director of elections about 6 weeks ago, but I was able to catch up with him about his perspective on this new role and working with this new director. I know that you were just appointed as the chairman of the Board of Elections in Oconee County. What was your role beforehand?
I had been the vice chair for about 8 years previously, and we have a new director of elections in the county, and the Board of Commissioners restructured the board a bit to where the director is no longer the chair, so they have a separate chair. So I was one of several that applied for the chair position and was last night selected by the board to be the chair. And
you mentioned that you have a new director of elections that you hired within the last 6 weeks or so. So how has it been working with her now and since she arrived, and what has that relationship been like?
I've gotten to meet and talk with Sharon Gregg, who is our new director. She comes to us from another county, being an assistant director in another county. So she has good knowledge. She has of the process. She knows what's going on with the office, and I look forward to working with her.
Nationally, there's been a trend recently of like a poll worker shortage type situation, but I've spoken with Sharon actually, and she said she doesn't anticipate that being a thing here in Oconee. Can you speak to the reasoning behind that?
I think that for not having a shortage of poll workers as other counties do, that speaks to that of the great citizen involvement and participation that we have in the elections process in our county. So I think we're very fortunate to have the staff that we need to staff our election polls on election day.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That seemed like an interesting conversation, and we're only a month out from elections. What will they be doing within the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so for the last few weeks of election prep, they're really going to be focusing on their poll worker training. So there's actually a session happening right now today in Oconee at Oconee Veterans Park Community Center.
All right, well, thank you, Donna. And moving over to sports, Aria Circa joins us with a big story about the Atlanta Braves' victory last night. Aria, what's the latest?
Yeah, Nicole. So just last night, the Atlanta Braves clinched their 5th National League East title with
Tonight
their 2-1 win against the Miami Marlins.
We have the latest on the Fairview Street shooting that left a 52-year-old
completed an incredible comeback after their slow start to the season, with being 10.5 games behind the Mets. In the second inning, Ronald Acuna Jr. hit a 2-out single, scoring Orlando Arcia and giving the Braves a 1-0 lead. To seal that win, Kenley Jansen worked a perfect ninth, recording his 41st save for the Braves and being only 1 strike away from an immaculate inning. Coming off their 2022 World Series title, the Braves are playoff bound, with their first playoff scheduled for next Tuesday, October 11th. Tonight's game will round out the regular season as the Braves take on the Miami Marlins once again. That's all for your Braves update. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, and Aria will be back with us later to continue our sports update. Now, we're pivoting to an important story developing in East Athens, where a shooting took place over the weekend. Harper Blankenship brings us an update from the Athens Clark Police from the scene of the crime.
I'm standing here at the 100 block of Fairview Street in East Athens to report to you an update from Athens Clarke County Police regarding a shooting that occurred here this past weekend. Now, yesterday, Athens Clarke County said that they have made a formal arrest charging a man with murder and possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. Now, what happened this last weekend happened on Sunday at 3:20 p.m. Officers arrived here at this house on the scene and discovered a 52-year-old male victim with a gunshot wound. They attempted to provide life-saving aid, but unfortunately were unsuccessful as the man passed away in his car. Now, police are still searching for a female witness that may have been on the scene of the crime. They're also seeking any other residents that have any information regarding the shooting that occurred on Sunday. All residents that have information are strongly encouraged to contact Officer Harrison at these contacts below. For Grady Newsource, I'm Harper Blankenship.
As opioid overdoses continue to claim lives in Athens, officers set out to take initiative. Grady Newsource reporter Aubrey Granzel tells us how the Athens Clarke County Police Department is addressing the issue.
Armed with Narcan, the Athens Clarke County Police Department is set to handle opioid-related overdoses. Opioid-related overdoses continue to claim the lives of victims throughout the state of Georgia. The growing problem has led local law enforcement to take initiative in decreasing death rates with the drug reversal medication Narcan. Following the completion of training classes, each and every Athens Clarke County police officer is now provided with the medication to assist in emergency situations.
Oftentimes we'll beat, maybe fire or EMS to a scene, but generally if we're the first responders there, we are the first ones administering it. Anything we do, we try to take priority of saving lives, and this has really been a beneficial tool in terms of that.
In the state of Georgia, the overdose death rate has faced dramatic increase, with opioids involving fentanyl driving the spike. Having administered Narcan to several patients, emergency department nurse Mariana Rivera Oliveri tells us why it's important for officers to carry it.
Since many people die due to overdosing before getting to a hospital, I believe this is very beneficial. It would be very beneficial that police and EMS are allowed to administer Narcan.
Officers say that while the medication can minimize death rate, community involvement is needed to halt the issue.
We really feel like getting the community involved is a giant step in addressing this crisis, and the more community involvement we get, we think the more effective we'll be in addressing it.
For Grady Newsource, this is Aubrey Granzel.
When we return, what Mental Health Awareness Week looks like in Northeast Georgia. Stay tuned.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Multiple events are going on this week around Northeast Georgia to recognize Mental Health Awareness Week. Grady Newsource reporter Sarah Train tells us what these events are and why they're important.
Mental Health Awareness Week is in full force here in Madison County. Local businesses like the Danielsville Floral Shop is selling green ribbons in recognition of this week.
Expect to have bunches done, and we chose to donate all but the cost of the ribbon to the cause.
Danielsville Floral Shop will be donating $2 for every bow that's purchased at their business. This money will go to the mental health awareness campaign run by Friends of Advantage. Over at the Madison County Library, Friends of Advantage partnered with the Madison County Chamber of Commerce for a luncheon event today about mental health. Here, people got the opportunity to listen to speakers discuss all things mental health, including the history and its treatments.
I know for me, it's just, again, making people aware that mental health is real, and there are different conditions that affect folks. So again, just raising that awareness in the community.
Advantage Behavioral Health has hosted multiple events, like a candlelight vigil last Sunday, and partnered with the Madison County Fair last week to get the word out to young people. For many people, this week hits close to home.
I have a grandson that it has helped tremendously by being able to go and just talk to someone. And so, lots of times they don't feel like that they can talk to their loved ones about it, but they can open up to somebody else.
For Grady Newsource, I'm Sarah Train.
Georgia's gas tax was suspended earlier this year following record high inflation. Governor Kemp extended this on Monday. Grady Newsource reporter Justin Nemitz is in the studio. Justin, how has Kemp extended this suspension?
So, yeah, Nicole, you said Governor Brian Kemp has extended a suspension on Georgia state gas tax well into November 11th to help combat the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. And this just comes as natural gas prices have risen roughly 3 cents since yesterday and around 7 cents compared to a week ago. Georgia rose about 1 cent since yesterday. Thankfully, Georgia state gas prices are the 4th lowest in the nation behind Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, which is a large factor in Georgia's economy. For example, Jackson County has a lot of distribution centers with Aldi and Amazon. They're working on an extension with Highway 85, as well as a lot of domestic housing. I spoke with John Scott. He's the Director of Economic Development, and he told me that these low energy costs in Georgia are a large factor to these distribution centers in Jackson County. Take a listen.
Lower energy costs is something that a lot of companies really look hard at, and I think it's just one of our many competitive advantages that we have here in Georgia.
Now, according to AAA, demand has increased and supply has decreased throughout the week. But for Jackson County and as well as other areas in Georgia, these low energy costs are attractive to urban development. Nicole?
Oconee County held its annual Run for Responders 5K last weekend. Grady Newsource reporter Abby Walton reports on how the run benefits local responders.
Oconee County held their 6th annual Run for Responders Sunday. The 5K raised money to help benefit local first responders. Community members gathered in Oconee Veterans Park to run for the cause.
The 5K participants ran on nature trails such as this one throughout the race.
This 3.1-mile course looped in and around Veterans Park. First responder Bruce Thaxton says he is happy to have the community support.
It's a good crowd. We have great weather, and Oconee County citizens always show up to help their public safety people.
First responders were able to run with the community participants at a discounted rate. But this wasn't just a run. There were food trucks, fire trucks, games, and a kid zone for participants and their families. An Oconee County school band also played to cheer on the runners. "5K participant Kelly Benson says the event means a lot to the local first responders she knows.
Some of our really good friends are firemen and in the first responders program, so it feels good to know we're supporting a good cause.
Due to past success, Run for Responders hopes to raise at least $30,000 to benefit the local responders. Running for Responders, one race at a time. Abby Walton, Grady Newsource.
Coming up next, a new baseball record was broken. And we will also see what the Georgia football team is up to this weekend.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She carried 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Welcome back to Grady Newsource. Now to Aria Circa for more sports. Aria?
Hey again, Nicole. Starting out on the diamond, last night Yankee outfielder Aaron Judge set a new single-season home run record for the American League with 62 home runs and counting. Watch this fan's reaction to catching this historical homer.
All of this and more right here.
Judge now has surpassed Roger Maris's record of 61 home runs. Heading to the field now, the Deep South's oldest rivalry is back as the Georgia Bulldogs take on the Auburn Tigers this Saturday at 3:30 in Sanford Stadium.
Tonight at 5.
In the past, these two teams have played thrilling games. However, Georgia has taken the lead by winning 8 out of the 10 of the past matchups. Now, if you have not picked your game day outfit quite yet and aren't sure how to dress for the temperature, don't worry. Next up, we have Riley Kavanaugh with your Grady Newsource weather. Hi, Riley. What weather can the fans expect this weekend?
Very sunny day with a high of 79 and a low of 50. We can expect more of that going into the next few days. Thursday, high of 81. Friday is going to be our hottest with a high of 84 and a low of 53. Now for that rivalry, we're going to see a high of 78 right around kickoff and then go down to a low and cool out at 49 degrees that night. So if you're planning to celebrate post-game, bring a jacket. Now, there is a national weather advisory released tonight for the North and Georgia counties, North and Central Georgia counties, for the low humidity and the hot temperatures. Dry weather have brought about a lot of, sorry about that, guys. So if you're planning on burning tonight, reach out to your local burn advisory authorities and remember to learn before you burn. Other than that, our typical fall weather is coming out to be, as it always is, cool in the morning and hot in the afternoon. That's it for your Northeast Georgia weather forecast. Back to you, Nicole.
Grady Newsource reporter Michael Doty is with us live in downtown Athens. Michael?
Thanks. Have sunshine and rainbows here in downtown Athens. I'll tell you more about the latest addition to the community when we come back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
Downtown Athens got a little more colorful Tuesday afternoon as 4 new rainbow crosswalks were painted. Grady Newsource reporter Michael Doty is live downtown at the crosswalks, and he has more on how the project got completed.
That's right, Nicole. I'm standing at the intersection of College Avenue and East Clayton Street, where these 4 rainbow crosswalks were recently installed.
The crosswalks were a part of a bigger project from the government known as the East Clayton Street Improvements Project. Funded by the T-SPLOST program, the project also involved paving the sidewalks, planting new trees, and installing overhead lights. Some Athens residents are just seeing this for the first time, and they enjoy the new addition.
I love it. I think it's super colorful, and I don't know, it made me happy as soon as I saw it.
This is fun. I mean, we have to have change, so you might as well enjoy it.
I like it, and we've just visiting Athens for the first time, really, so we haven't seen, what it looked like before. But I just noticed, even just walking across, it was like, yeah, I just like all the color, and it seems like a good addition to this area right here.
The painting took approximately 8 hours to complete. The process itself wasn't that easy.
The process is a little lengthy because you have to go strips by strips, and all the strips are like 2 feet long. So you have to go color by color, section by section.
Valenzuela said they still need to install bike racks along the crosswalks.
Now, the Athens Pride and Queer Collective is hosting a ribbon cutting ceremony next Tuesday, October 11th at 11 a.m. Now, next Tuesday is National Coming Out Day, so it does fit the theme. Nicole, back to you.
With fall officially in full swing, pumpkin season is among us. Grady Newsource reporter Wynn Andrews reports on one church in Athens that serves as a part-time October pumpkin patch.
Every season brings change, but one constant you can rely on when fall comes around is the pumpkin patch at Millage Avenue Baptist Church. Now with October in full swing, the pumpkin patch is open to all Athens residents until the end of the month.
Finally made the time to come out here with my buddy Billy. Great time. It's a ton of fun. Great atmosphere. There's a lot of cool people, a lot of families out here. Take your photos, get good pumpkins. It's awesome.
Known as the Pumpkin Church by many, Millage Avenue Baptist started its pumpkin patch in the fall of 2006 to aid fundraising efforts for a mission trip. After experiencing success that first year, the church made the pumpkin patch a tradition. Now it's the go-to spot for many in Athens searching for their favorite pumpkin.
We will sell out of all this, and probably the next 2 trucks as well. We typically have nothing left when November the 1st rolls around.
While there are plenty of pumpkins to choose from here at Millage Avenue, they've been widely known around Athens for their variety of pumpkins in terms of shape, color, and size. While raising money for the church and youth programs, Millage Avenue Baptist also donates a portion of proceeds to missions around the Athens community, including Family Promise, a nonprofit organization helping the homeless. Millage Avenue also uses the pumpkin patch as a push for inclusivity among its visitors.
We try to express Red Door faith, that our doors are open to the entire community, and I think the pumpkin patch is a good outreach for that.
The church's pumpkin patch is open on weekdays from noon to 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 8. For Grady Newsource, I'm Wynn Andrews.
When Grady Newsource returns, we'll meet with Gabrielle Vitale to hear her solution story on how an organization plans to help those with food insecurity in Oconee County.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters. Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine. I'm gonna need that back. No. Kevin!
Is changing how food is distributed in a unique way. Reporter Gabrielle Vitale tells us more on how this is impacting the community.
Here's a mini apple strudel.
This is not just any normal food truck. This is Chalky, a food truck that is home to a food drive organization called Chalk It Up.
This whole thing was just an opportunity. You know, it's like when they called me from Publix saying, you know, can you come Tuesdays and Saturdays and pick up everything we have?
Chalky collects leftover bakery items from the local Publix in addition to food donations from other local organizations. Reef Sec and other volunteers hand out food twice a week. The people that come can choose from bread, pie, lentils, and even books. Instead of the pre-packaged food items that are normally found in other food shelters or drives, Chalk It Up does it a little differently by allowing the people to choose what they want. Reef Sec has tried counting how many cars come through each day but gets so busy she loses count.
We'll count the cars and it's like, okay, there's 12 cars. But then as we're going, uh-oh, 5 more, uh-oh, 5 more.
Dorcas Hammond is the owner of the church where Chalky parks to hand out food.
Before the truck gets here, the cars are lined up down our driveway. And so for them to be able to meet that need is just amazing.
Dr. Lee, a professor in family and consumer sciences, says that food organizations like Chalk It Up have an incredible impact on the community, but there is a larger problem at hand.
Food drive is great, but they may not solve the fundamental root cause of food insecurity.
Dr. Lee says there's also an issue of what food is distributed.
The logistic in terms of collecting a large amount of food and store and share and distribution. So typically don't include fresh produce that's typically recommended to be consumed more at the national level.
Despite these setbacks, Chalk It Up has grown within the community.
So it's really nice that we sort of become like the hub of all of these community outreach projects. So I'm very proud of that.
Around the holidays, they collect jackets, gloves, and even turkeys.
That's what it's all about, is just making the best of it when things are rough.
Reporting with Grady Newsource, I'm Gabrielle Vitale.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. For Grady Newsource, I'm Nicole Narvell.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please. I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Tech side of things, I really don't have anything to really say other than thank you so much for getting y'all's packages in. Like, I think it was like 15 minutes before the show, and I was like scrambling, like, where's all the video at? And everyone was like, it's all in. So that was fabulous. Thank y'all so much for doing that and for being on top of things and for making our jobs fun. Like I said, today was kind of a complex show. We had a lot of back and forth transitions, live shot, but I mean, y'all make it fun. Y'all make our jobs fun, and it's been fun working with y'all. So good job today.
Very ambitious. They keep raising the bar on us there and on you. And is there any?
Thanks for having the rundown all prepared and ready to go. That was another thing. Like, y'all were really on top of things, which made our jobs a lot easier. So thank y'all so much for that. That was fun.
And thank you guys, all of you listening there in the control room. Thank you. I would like to hear from our indomitable producer, Ben, who had some amazing ideas. So tell us a little bit about what you learned, what you can do even better, and how you raised the bar, because you did.
So first things first, I mean, we did try a lot of new things today. Tech crew, thank you. I mean, with all the different double boxes, all that. Aria, Riley, of course, Nicole, and Danae, of course, too. Thank you guys for cooperating, filling me in how we think we should work this and different camera shots, all that. I think it worked well. It was fun. It was a lot of fun being TV producer. I mean, it was like endless work from this morning at 9 a.m. Even before 9 a.m., I was looking at stories, stuff to put into the show. Unfortunately, we had to float two of our only readers, just for timing. Timing did become a bit of an issue. I think we missed it maybe by 10, 15 seconds, which, so be it. It's all right. I mean, but like, I had a vision. It kind of just came to me as I was going, and all in all, I think we like completed it pretty spot on. Gabby, sorry we couldn't get. I know every day, every news day, we try and get the Sojo Q&A. It just never works. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get it. So sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, thank you to my leadership team. Thank you to everyone. Harper going out to that kind of sketchy area. I don't know. See, I mean,
twice.
Yeah, twice. You're very cooperative. That worked. I mean,
Yes,
everyone got their packages in on
It added so
time.
much to our show because it was a totally different kind of treatment to what we were doing, and you had your badge and everything. You looked very professional. It was very well thought out and executed. And thank you for doing it twice. There was just a little misunderstanding about what we could say and what not, and it just.
But it worked.
It worked very well. It made our show very, very interesting. There was such a variety of treatment of content, both in the studio, in the newsroom, outside, and
And I know he's not here right now, but Michael.
Yes.
Shout out to Michael Doty. That's our live shot guy. He's so good at it. He's funny. We tried something creative with the Rainbow Road. I thought it turned out well. It was a little bit chaotic there at the beginning, but in the end we got it, and I thought it turned out fun. I thought it worked.
And great lead story, Donay. That was really new information, and very good. Kudos to you. I could tell you were not reading; you were ad-libbing, and that was quite impressive. Nicole, don't forget to thank people like Michael. You know, they're throwing back to you. They're acknowledging you, so thank them, and don't read the questions for the anchor standing next to you, sitting next to you from the teleprompter, because look at yourself. It looked like people could tell that you were reading. So if you could also, you know, really look at Donay and ask her that question, but just look at it just for the future, that would have worked with you also ad-libbing that as much as possible because she was sitting next to you. But otherwise, you know, you were very cool as a cucumber, handling a lot of things that were changing. But those two things they're small, but they're important for the way you present yourself in a show. When people are acknowledging you and you're not thanking them, it could appear like, well, why is she doing it? Aren't they not friends? You know, so that's what I remember that in the real world when you go out there, to always, and not to read, especially if somebody's sitting next to you, don't, you know, you're asking her a question, but you're looking at the viewers, right? So that would be my suggestion. And I was very proud of all. I mean, Aria, then Riley, the prompter went haywire, and thank goodness aren't you glad you had those notes? And you still found your way out of it. You still found your way out of it. I'm going to watch it again, but I think you were impressive from what I was able to see. I felt for you. I can't tell you how many times I've been in your situation, and you impressed me. And don't feel bad about it. You did great, and I'm glad you had those notes and you didn't even look at them because things were so chaotic that you just kind of, your memory, she was thinking on her feet. And that was really impressive. You thought about the things you could say and get them factually right. But all of you did some, you know, Abby, that was, I think she wins the prize for the stand-up today. Michael, we were singing your praise. You deserve, you really deserve it. So Ben, since we have a very special guest, I would like to give him as much time as possible. But so guys, if you don't mind, we can hear from you a little bit later. To save time, and maybe we'll have some questions for you guys, especially Mary Lou, because we have a very special, someone who was sitting here just 9 years ago, James, I'm going to get your last name, Brierton, who is the executive producer of digital and weather content for the NBC station in Charlotte. So he watched our show. I could tell it brought back memories. You were so happy to be back here in this newsroom, which hasn't changed much in 9 years, right?
Only for the better.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you guys did a great show. That was a very complicated show. Happy to be back. Thank you for having me. I took some notes, but the one thing that struck me that I forgot until I got here was just how much content there is when you're producing this show. Because you have, frankly to say, you have more people here, dayside reporters, than many of the TV stations have. And so from a producing standpoint, you've got, it's a blessing and a curse, right? You got all of this content, which makes your show very rich, but now you've got to stack it and find time for it and figure out how to transition from things that could be polar opposites. And I thought you guys did a really great job of that. On the technical side, you guys did lots of things. I heard you guys talk about raising the bar. I mean, I don't know what it looks like normally, but it looked great tonight. The double boxes, the live shot I thought was great. You guys had the live shot up early. You were ready to go. You were in front of the camera the whole time. Had they been needed to come to you earlier, you would have been there and ready, because those are the type of real world things we run into all the time. You know, whether it's the live shot's down and we got to go someplace else, or something else has gone wrong. You know, I know there were a couple of hiccups. They were all real world hiccups. They're all things that the real world runs into. They weren't anything that, oh, those college kids, they don't know what they're doing. No, we have the same problems in the real world. Bad audio cable, or a piece of video starts rolling in the background, and you guys worked through it.
There was some strange video going upside down and inside out, and it's like, and voices coming, but she was like, she kept that little smile and kept going. Yeah, all of you.
I thought you had great presence on the air with sports. I thought that was fabulous. The toss to weather was very natural, was good. Again, the recovery in weather.
Yes.
I mean, so oftentimes weather on TV isn't scripted, but you guys had a lot of content in there you were trying to get to, and then you just went back to what you had prepared in your brain. Maybe it was worded slightly differently. Maybe it was in a slightly different order, but
you kept going.
You kept that train from derailing.
Yeah.
So I
because you were prepared, and but again, maybe you don't believe me, but hear it from James that weather is not scripted. So when you're doing weather, unless it's a very serious weather-related story, like you had the Nile virus kind of thing, yes, you can read that. But the temperatures, you have a cheat sheet, and those are the slides and the temperatures. And once you get down the general trend for the week, you're fine. You can ad-lib that. And please practice, because in the real world, you will not have a teleprompter for weather, and you will not have a teleprompter for many lives you're going to be doing. You have to learn how to ad-lib, and this is the best place to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what's great about the program, is this is the place to practice and get it done, right? I mean, that's what drew me here 10 years ago, was the opportunity to practice those things each and every day. And I know that may just seem like the normal thing, but a lot of other schools don't do this. So when you go to interview and they're saying, you know what a live view is, and you've done a live shot, like that is going to stand out, because that's not necessarily an automatic you're going to get in other places. I thought the control room did a good job. Again, there were a lot of moving pieces. I think both from the producing and the directing standpoint, I think it's hard to over-communicate into that anchor's IFB or into your production staff's headset. So, okay, here's where we are and here's where we're going next. And having over-communicating whatever's coming up next will help with any hiccups that you might run into. Oh, okay, we got a bad audio cable. Okay, well, I've already said that package on, you guys call them DDR2, right? So we know kind of where we're going, and I think that would be hugely helpful. I thought your lead story, I don't know how you guys landed on doing Oconee County first, but the fact that you guys had a story that was off campus in a different county, and it wasn't just a story that was going to apply to college kids, it was so much broader than that. I thought that was really good journalism. And just last night. Yeah. I can't tell you how many of these shows I've seen that always started in Tate Plaza with some student club that was doing some student club thing. And I mean, you guys had, I think, hard-hitting stories that were applicable to so much of your viewing audience. And I think that goes a long way to really practicing the storytelling and the story pitching and knowing what makes a good story. I could read through this whole list, but I don't want to suck up all the time.
Any advice that you could give us as to how to continue to do better integrating the two different platforms and ways of presenting information?
Well, I'll tell you, there's no magic answer. I think we're all trying to figure that out, and if we knew it, we'd be very rich right now, because that's the conversation that's happening in every TV newsroom, and it's a very innovative space. So if you know that you like visual storytelling and you want to be kind of cutting edge, that's kind of what the digital side of things gets to do. And we are doing a couple things in Charlotte that could work here, or maybe in 6 months we find something we like better. But you guys are already streaming on YouTube, and that's a great place to get the content out, and that really helps reach new audiences. We use a platform called Tagboard. There are others out there, so I don't mean to name drop one said. We can take Facebook comments, so we might post a story online earlier in the day and get the conversation going. Right? You put it to your website, you put it on your Facebook, and you start to hear from real people. They might raise questions that you hadn't considered. They might drive home points that you're not able to say as the journalist, but there are real people's voices you want to get into that story or into that tag, and you can put some of those comments on the air with this software or with any other software. We've also gotten to the point where we're doing a lot of live chats outside of the show. So, we do a 2.5 hour long morning show, and then after the morning show is over, we'll go to social and we'll simulcast on Facebook and on Twitter. And the same anchors who've just presented the news and who've just talked at the people for 2.5 hours are now taking live comments. Restream, RESTREAM.io is the one that we use. There are others out there, but it allows people who are watching on Facebook to make a comment, people watching on Twitter to make a comment, and we can put those up as lower third as we choose. The producer's kind of moderating them, and it drives a little bit of a two-way conversation. We use it for virtual town hall, so like it wasn't a newscast, but it was kind of a public service thing, because you guys, I saw right there at the end of your newscast tonight trying to do that solutions journalism, and that's important, right? It's how do we as journalists help spotlight the problem solvers or spotlight the things that need solving, who maybe we don't have the answer ourselves, but we can try to point them in the right direction or find people who are. You guys are already, I was going to come in and try to enlighten everyone on Google Trends, but as soon as I came in, you guys were already looking at Google Trends, so that's fabulous, because that's where, again, you can kind of see, what does everyone in this room do when they want to learn something new? They go to Google and they type in a question and they type something in, and those Google Trends help us as journalists know what the questions are that real people are asking, so then we can bring that back into our content. And I would say, lastly on that, don't be afraid to say in your scripting, hey, today we're seeking the answer to this question because we saw that so many of you are searching it online. Or, hey, we went to explore this story today and we saw that people were asking this related question. And so we're bringing it to you. That conversation and transparency, I think, goes a long way in letting them know, okay, as the viewer, I'm not just sitting here on my couch watching you, but you're also interacting and engaging and responding to the things that I may be doing actively or passively.
Mentioned that you sort of asked us, so where's your weather on your A block, and
yeah.
Ben had these amazing ideas. He was connected weather and sports and everything.
I love that.
So he explained his vision of why he wasn't playing weather that high. But that is something important in the real world, how important weather is in local broadcasting.
Yes. There are these folks in broadcast you'll get to know called consultants. They get paid lots of money to go out and conduct surveys and find out from the audience as well. I don't have, there's multiple studies in front of me, but the gist is, if there are top 5 things that people watch local news for, it tends to be like breaking news, severe weather, live radar, hourly forecast, 7-day forecast. And you're like, okay, well, 4 of those top 5 things are weather. So it's hard to do too much weather. Now, we are in this very lovely sunny period where you're like, what am I going to talk about for 3 minutes? And I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head by bringing in some of that related content, tying it to sports, because lifestyle forecasting is important and popular right now. People want to know, okay, yeah, I get it. There's a cold front and there's this thing and it's going to be breezy or windy, but what does that mean? Do I have to put a sweater on when I walk the dog later? Does that mean I should not go to this outdoor concert, right? So trying to key it off of those real world, taking it off the map and into the world. The other thing I would say that we're doing, two main weather initiatives are weather education. Came about during the pandemic when a lot of broadcast meteorologists, a lot of science teachers are like, okay, what do we do? What do we do now? And it became this science at home thing. And we've morphed that into, okay, how do we explain storm surge coming out of Ian? Or how do we explain these complex processes around space launch and the weather that are needed? So you're using your station scientist, your meteorologist, to tell these other science-related stories. And the other thing we're doing a lot in Charlotte is extended severe weather. So we're using our digital platforms, YouTube, our website, our Roku apps. There's a great public service that is done by the meteorologists when there's life-threatening weather, like a tornado warning. You expect them to come up on TV, regardless of what's on programming. Sorry, NFL football fans, we're going to interrupt it and we're going to tell people about the life-threatening weather. But what do you do when it's a severe thunderstorm? You guys have all seen severe thunderstorms. I'm sure you've been caught out in them. Lots of lightning, lots of rain. But it oftentimes doesn't meet the threshold of breaking into programming and disrupting live sports or disrupting revenue-generating commercials. But your meteorologist is still there at the station, and so we will come up early online. And so we'll be tracking thunderstorms on severe active days online, and then we'll do that continuously, say for 4 hours. But then if the weather service issues tornado warnings in between those, that's when we'll simulcast to TV. So we're kind of turning it on its head, right? So much of the industry is, well, what do we do on TV that we can simulcast online? And for this particular thing, we're trying to come in the other way. We're going to do it online, and we're going to simulcast it on the TV when we meet higher thresholds.
Interesting, very interesting.
It's a little exhausting for the meteorologist, but luckily in Charlotte we have a team of folks who just love doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, do you have questions? Use this opportunity.
Harper knows all the secret sauce because he interned with us.
Mike, you need a mic. Yes.
We had the same problem 10 years ago with the post show, passing the microphones around.
Yeah. All right. So, James, thank you for coming in, of course, checking out our show. But I guess in kind of your experience of either visiting, your experience obviously here as a student and visiting other places or talking to other students who come and intern from other universities, what do you think kind of separates the Grady Newsource newsroom from other newsrooms or other college newsrooms around the country? And what are some of those skills that you find unique to Grady Newsource students that we should really kind of lean into when we go out on the job hunt?
I think the fact that you guys continue to rotate through all the positions, whether you love them or hate them, is eye-opening, because it might introduce you to a position you hadn't considered before, and that could end up being your job, or it'll at least give you a taste of what that person has to do. Maybe you hate producing, but now you realize, wow, they are trying to keep track of so many things that when you're in a reporter position, then you know, okay, I can relate to my producer a little bit more. I think the thing with Grady students that stand out, and the things with any applicant who stands out when they're applying for a job, is understanding all of those things, even if, again, you're not applying for them. But this program in particular teaches you to have to troubleshoot and be independent and collaborate. You're not just going out and you're not just shooting a story and you're not just uploading it to the web and saying, that's my story, good night. You're then taking that story back here, you're working it into a newscast, you're working with other people, you sit through this post-critique every post-show, which makes you a better storyteller. But I think Grady students really come out with the sense of they're very well-rounded. They know how to find stories. They know how to find stories off campus to a broader audience. They know how to edit those stories. They know how to shoot those stories. They know how to front those stories on TV. And the thing that will be a big win if I'm ever sitting on the interviewing panel is if you say, yes, and I also write those stories then for web, because that's that last part of the loop that sometimes gets missed is, yeah, the reporter is also the one who's writing it for the website, because who knows the story better but the person who spent all day doing it.
Thank you.
You have just in 1 week, you have to prepare for some interviews, and a lot of you will want to interview with Techna, which is, you're one of Techna's stations. So this is your opportunity to possibly, can I ask a question for you guys then, if you don't have any? How should they prepare for a Techna interview?
Sure.
With you probably, I mentioned to you who's going to be
Yeah.
here. So any advice?
You want the
what
secrets now to look good next week?
Exactly, so
Okay.
that they can prepare well. Yeah, and especially for their real, the news directors I've talked to usually say not more than 6 minutes.
Sure.
It's got to give us a few live
Yep.
shots just, and then 3 packages, and at the end some stand-ups, and that's it. Full packages, but just clips of
Yeah.
the rest. Is that what they're still looking for?
I think that's a lot of what they're looking for. They're also going to look at your social media, your public-facing social media. So if you have a Twitter account that you're maybe using as a part of your role here, they want to see that you know how to, okay, post these elements online from your story as you're going throughout the day. They want to see the way you might write your web story. And I think the thing that always sits really well with recruiters, without sounding like you're trying to kiss up to them, is knowing who you're talking to and
Yes.
what it is that they are maybe known for. So for Techna, for example, it might be solutions journalism. It might be the fact that you really like our fact-finding, fact-checking, verify segments. Just something to say, I applied here because I want to work here and I know your product. Will go a long way in getting that conversation started.
Thank you for making that point, because you know, they don't really watch TV the way you and I. They're on TikTok and they get their, I don't know how, but they get informed on social media.
You got to know what's true and what's not true, right?
Yeah, but anyway, that is you have to know your product. You have to kind of study up on, look at their product, what are the things, and find 1 or 2 things that impress you about it. So you guys are into solutions journalism.
We are,
there
yes.
you go. You know that, and you know you're learning how to do this, and maybe talk about your solutions idea. Yeah, you show that you have done your homework, because people don't want to hire people who are not even interested in the product. Why should I hire you? You know, I was in a situation, you know, where I was a news director, and it's really risky to hire people. You want to know that these people are really invested, and they're at least interested enough to know your product and to show me how they would contribute to it. Where do they fit? What are they excited about?
I always like when people ask me too, what's it like to live here? Because you're a human being who's going to have time
Yeah.
not at work. So what are the good places to live and rent and eat food and see the town? And then I go, okay, this person's serious about wanting to come here because they're trying to envision their life here.
Great point. Another great point. Guys, time for one more question. Let it come from you, not me asking what I think you should know. Jeremy?
Just a really quick question. Is Neil Bannett still working for you guys at Techna? He is? Okay. What is he doing now? Not?
Oh, Harper tells me he's with Scripps. So I've apparently messed up the answer to that question because I said yes, but it just goes to show how often people move around from one company and back again, and who's your colleague today could be your competitor tomorrow, and the other way around. Who's your competitor today could be your colleague tomorrow.
That's true. That's true. James, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me back.
It has been a pleasure to have you, and you're always welcome here. And it was really beneficial, especially that week before meeting with Techna people.
Yeah. Hopefully I gave you something that was good.
It was excellent. It was great to hear from you. And thank you. And thank you, Harper, for inviting James. I didn't know he was visiting, so thanks to Harper. Yeah, so we thank him.
You guys did a great show.
Yeah.
A lot of moving pieces, very well rounded, and that's what people like to see.
Thank you. So guys, feel good about yourselves, and let's do even more, since I have no shame, on Monday. Today's Wednesday, right? The time is just flying. It's like, oh, it's Wednesday again, but wasn't it Wednesday yesterday? Okay.
Post-pandemic, every day's the same.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
I was watching the clock going, are we supposed to fill until 6? Like, how does this work?